Boy. Morning. Mm. I was going to answer, but chewing that to, to safe, well, what I consider safe, paste was a lot longer than I thought. Yeah, it has added alliterative appeal. The triple A, the only triple A I respect. Oh, yeah. I didn't get as much writing done as I was wanting to because I'm really trying to finesse this correctly and how they're going to like come around to the idea of it. Like again, William, he's freaking out. Part of him because part of him is like release, release, let go, let go, let go. But he also talked about the force and everything in his dreams. There's a lot of coincidences going on here. He's starting to get more puzzle pieces. He's getting more information, right? And it being this stuff now being proffered, what's going to help is the fact that the ranger is that Michael is willingly giving them this information, right? Like he's giving them this information because Michael knows what they are for sure. Like he's trying to prove to them like, hey, you can trust me. I'm giving you all this for a reason. Excuse me. So what we're gonna do today, I have a vague idea of how I want Rosentia and everything laid out. We're going to actually put together the world map, or part of the world map, anyways, for Saren and what Saren looks like. Mm. Shufta. So I figured that'll be fun. Trying to get everything put together. Man, I wanted to stand today, but I feel bleh. Whoa. Oh, oh God. Oh, good Lord. Okay. So, welcome to where we are. And the thing, but welcome to our blank map. Right? Hi. So in the essentials, Rosentia's going to be over here. And it goes up towards the Arctic tops. And you're going to have basically across from it and slightly down. This is where the Golden Dawn Imperium is. This is where the Dwarven clan holds are. Between them is where the Swaha is. That is the jungle Lizardman Kingdom. And there's multiple other kingdoms here scattered around. Multiple other, well, not even kingdoms, nations, because now we're in nations now instead of kingdoms, right? So I'm putting vagaries in right now. This is the land bridge that will connect down into other territories down below. There's a few nations here, and then it goes down here into the Sahir itself. This is the massive Lizardman Kingdom. Maybe down there because it's mostly desert. There's a couple exceptions in the Sahir. One of them that's known as the Green Way, or the Cerulean Serpent. And that is a long-ass river that goes through the desert. And, of course, that's where you're going to get your greenery inside the Sahir. So, yeah, let's just try and start sculpting the sculpting Rosentia in and everything, shall we? I said Rosentia will go up here to the north. Ooh, shit. Undo that. Oh man, it wants to jump out there real bad, doesn't it? I don't want that as a point. I want this as like a smoother thing. There we go. Hey, Grindus. We're basically going to sculpt in Rosentia and everything. I'm just trying to put in some bullet points of where everything is. Oh, we need Hattori Island. So Hattori Island, comparison to how everything is. Okay, Hattori Island is vaguely in the middle, right? And then there's a tiny little thing, but I can't. I'm not going to be able to draw it because of the way the map is sectioned itself out, right? We're not going to be able to draw the tiny little island specks. We need to zoom in on Hattori Island to actually see it. I kind of like this bay in here. Okay. Like I said, this would all be Arctic area up here, or it's near the Arctic, so this is all going to be cold. We're coming down into the temperate areas. Should I just do Rosentia by itself, chat? So we can work with this kind of stuff? Oh, I'm trying. This is a really small brush for this map. For the size of this map. Here, like let's do like the 1. See? It still catches in because the size of this map. Yeah, do you think? I think maybe I should just do Rosentia by itself. But this is basically the basic thing. Like Rosentia takes up this whole area, right? And then the land bridge down, and there's a couple crossings through the mountains and through a big river into their southern neighbor kingdom. Or nation. And like I said, there's a couple nations here. There used to be more nations, but Sahir took it over. So you have here where it's starting to get more greenery where Sahir owns, and then out into the desert that Sahir is. This is a rough location of the Golden Dawn Imperium, and there's a couple islands above it that are technically part of the Golden Dawn Imperium, but nobody really likes to go there. Too fucking cold. There's Hattori's in the middle. You have the Swaha here, which is the land border. Even though there are other smaller nations, the Swaha is the true land border between the Dwarven clan holds and the Golden Dawn Imperium. Neither nation wants to deal with the Swaha, because the Swaha is basically just thick jungle and thick jungle and rainforest, stuff like that. It's a nightmare to work with, and it's its own nation full of lizardmen. They don't want to. They don't want to deal with that. They don't want the smoke. It's not worth it. I was gonna try to carve in everything, but yeah, I think we should do just Rosentia by itself. Right? Because then we can be a little more free with it. Like up here at the tip. Oh man, I wish I could make that more of a crescent. Hold on. Because Point Crescent basically is up here, where a mountain range comes across it, and then you have a kind of like bay, Crescent Bay, which is what they figured would be one of the landing points that the Golden Dawn Imperium might try to use during the First World War. Didn't end up happening, but, is what it is. They had the thought. They had the worry. So they tried to put a plan in action. Yeah. Still have the coughs, but they're not as bad of coughs anymore. Ugh. Actually slept pretty well, which is nice. Well, slept pretty well at first, and then woke up and had way too much energy. Don't know why. And then, went from there. Down the line. Curves in. So you'd have Point Crescent up here. Actually, given the size, right? Point Crescent would be over here, right? Yeah, I might need to subtract. Hold on. Oh, look, there we made a little tiny island by subtracting. Yeah, so Point Crescent would be like in here. And then they would have the defensive system here for the bay. So we want to remember the equator will be this barrier, right? And the Arctic is up to this here. So we're within the Arctic range of this is cold as fuck up here. And I'll worry about like internalized lakes and things like that later. We just need to get the overall shape. inward. Remember, that's the inlet for where... towards where the capital is. The capital is a recessed... Okay, so the way that the Rosentia's capital is, it's a recessed from the seaboard. And it is on a massive river that goes from deeper within the continent and comes right past them. So they're kind of like one of the last two stops on the river. The thing about Rosentia itself is that it is also cradled in next to a mountain range. This mountain range has a lot of valuable resources in it. It has thick forests and everything like that. So it's basically a resource heaven, right? It's not the most lucrative of like mining opportunities, but there's a lot of mining opportunities all throughout it. It's what made Rosentia power to begin with. Eventually another city, Baymouth, forms at the mouth of the river and is basically going to try to be a parasite on Rosentia itself, right? That's how it's going to get its money. It's going to tax Rosentia, trying to send its goods out to sea to go around the seaboard and everything. Rosentia tolerates that for about 3 years. And then they march their army down and they take Baymouth for themselves. Like, you know, it was a good grift, but you need to remember that Rosentia is in kind of like a sweet spot for resources. So they had an excess, and that excess allowed them to get an excessively large army. And then they marched down and they took Baymouth, so that like, no, we're not going to pay you for anything. We're going to make you a part of us. And that's kind of its first expansion of Rosentia as the city-state. So now they have 2 territories. It's still considered a city-state because it's more like you have the one city and then you have the vassal that is subservient to it in every way. And then they get to pick what they charge for it there, right? And you come down the seaboard into where Danesport would be. And we go further down, but not too far, because it's an hour away, is where La Pratia is. So you have Danesport up here, La Pratia here, the Rosentian capital is back here, Baymouth is here. Point Crescent is up here, Carmen is down here. Fuck, I forget what's east. East, you have another city that's east. Because you have the crossroads. You can go continue north into Point Crescent, or you can go east out or west to take you across other places. Now down here I don't have as much thought through. So we can be a little more like loosey-goosey with it. I have a bit more of the western seaboard thought through. But we don't have as much down here other than the barrier into the next kingdoms. We do have the island here, which Rosentia took over. Again, and island, for emphasis, this would basically be an island nation, right? Or it would have been an island nation back during the back during the formation of everything. This comes in, and then dramatically back out. Okay, we'll reshape. From here, I just want to get kind of like a small border in. And then we'll reshape everything to how we want it later. So fill this all in. Oh, I don't care about that. I can just go right over that. Duh. And the mountain range follows down across, with the river coming across the other way. Okay. I should also probably on these Wednesdays when we're not doing like readings, which we're going to do readings pretty much as we can. When we're not doing readings of the story and everything, should probably work on that obsidian vault more, right? Let me pull that up real quick. Because we have new information and changes we want to make to it. There it is, obsidian. For anyone that hasn't seen obsidian or doesn't know what it's like, I don't care about the release notes. Show me the entire view. Show me the whole view. Because now that we've really put things together, how do I change the open graph view? There we go. Yeah. So this is what obsidian is like, right? And this lets you kind of like organize your thoughts. You're basically making like a wiki with different links to go to different places that you can then jump through and stuff. You're like, okay, so this will be a link, this will be important, this will be important, this will be important, so on and so forth, right? Five casts. So yeah. You were so close to the end, yeah. So anyway, so this is basically like how it would go, right? Yeah. I wonder if I can make Blood of the Wolf go to Wolf Blood? Because both are accurate. Blood of the Wolf is more like your being, but more, what's the way to put it? Not fancy. You're more being like specific? Whereas wolf blood is the like more shorthand variant of it, right? Yeah. Beep 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 beep. Yeah, welcome, Anti-Boy Scout. We're trying to get a good vibe for how Rosentia looks. And I kind of want to start carving everything. So I think maybe if I got rid of this as just an island nation, what if we just had it... It just looks like mini Florida, doesn't it? What if we had it like angled back? So what I was showing was Point Crescent's up here, Carmen is around here, the capital, the Rosentia itself is here, Danesport is here, La Pratia is here. So, but this is towards the equator. This is towards the Arctic. That's why this is cold as shit up here. Maybe if we carve down some more like this. I watched videos on how to realistically form continents. Well, I'm going to put in like the mountain ranges and things like that where obviously like continental plates would have pushed against each other. Because there are undersea mountains that come up through into the top of Point Crescent. Which again, Crescent is the bay. That's where they thought the Golden Dawn Imperium would try to land troops during the First World War, and then it ended up not happening. I think this is 2. Okay, we want the land bridge. We want the barrier bridge here. We have the mountain range that comes down and keeps going straight through. Let me do the mountain range, right? Just so it's kind of like emphasize that it is a range. It comes up, goes straight across this. It comes from here. And then there's the river that cuts across the other way. Essentially, like this is kind of like their natural border between the two. What if we do... Hmm. Doing the map stuff just takes so long. So long for everything. So one river here, and the other divot goes around behind. God, this doesn't look like they don't look like rivers because they're so big. I mean, it's a big. To be fair, they're two big rivers, but still, that's. I don't know. They just don't look like rivers because of the scale we're working with here. You know. Would path be better? Nah, I don't think so. Okay. Down around here is where piercing the veil takes place. Oh, just slowly carve away at it. Slowly carve away, make it look better. If we're careful, we can use the carve tool to get, like, little islands and things like that. I don't know, chat. I don't know. I said I know placements of where things are. This isn't like Averroll. Averroll just flowed so naturally. I'll say what we have for now. Averroll just flowed so much more naturally. Was what it was. And Averroll's fucking huge too, right? I wonder if I can go back at all. I know. I'm carving at it. We're gonna try to carve it to make it more unique, but some of it, like, I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that river, the twin river here. Just didn't look right. Let's see if I do this, I'll show you. See? There's Averroll. It just came together so much better. Though the only thing I fucked up in Averroll was I didn't have it tilted from the start. But yeah, other than that, no, it came together so much better. But this also, you can see, because we could work with the scale, you could get these in. They actually properly look like rivers and lakes and stuff. You know. Something we can't say in the current one. That was a bad cough. Hang on. I'll be right back a second. BRB momento. All right, chat. All right. Right. That was a scary situation. That cough came with more than anyone ever wanted it to. So, yeah. Luckily, totally fine. So what I'm thinking of doing here, because I've kind of bummed myself out on the Rosentia map, what I'm thinking of doing here, let's go into Obsidian with all the new updated information we have and everything, and let's fix it, right? We'll start from the beginning and go with the Vordir and start putting in everything we can use. This will also help us keep track of, like, everything we want to keep track of, right? Yeah. I wonder if there's a way to do, like, a... Hang on. Let me show you. I wonder if there's a way to do this, but then, like, delineate it between these two to be, like, the warrior cast, like, the front line, the mid line, the back line, right? I wonder if there's a way to put that. Or if I would just have to do, like, add another column here to do that. Because this is no longer the warrior, this is the siege engine, basically. Which, I mean, I guess are warriors, too, right? So, yeah, I guess, well, we gotta fix pretty much everything. What's that base? What's that new base do for us? Hang on, let's... Honestly, I could just get rid of most of this. Yeah. I think we could just get rid of most of this. I think we can save spirit magics. It's not bad. The casts we can redo. Easy peasy. We can redo the 5 forms. Easy peasy. Get rid of the Wolverine species. We can keep these. Yeah. Oh. Okay. I don't know. I didn't know about any of these features. Fuck. All right. It was a lot more complicated than I thought it was. So I think I can basically just get rid of everything, right? How do we just start over completely brand new? How do we start from scratch? Okay. Twilight. Yeah, I just want to start over everything. Like, we might as well just literally start over everything. Delete. Delete. Okay. This is how we do it. Delete. Delete. I can save spirit magics. We don't need to worry about that. Okay. So, we need a new thing here. I'm going to call this the voir dire. Okay. Spirit magic, again, we can save. Oh, wait a minute. Could I have just switched off to this? Hold on. It doesn't matter. We need to do this anyways. Okay. Give me a second. Yep, no, that'll work. That's fine. Pew. All right. Get rid of. So this is the one we want right here. Pop that up. Close you. Okay. This is your new vault. Voir dire. Okay. Also, shapeshifters. Okay. Basic, simple enough, right? Oh my goodness sakes. Also finished Classic God of War. Nice. Never played it. Just wasn't the type of game for me. Or dear are given the, hang on, can I add a dictionary? Nice. Again, add you to dictionary as well. You're literally just lowercase voir dire. I need to turn this into a link. Voir dire are given the divine mandates. Act upon that mandate in Missed often. No. The last parts in particular would make want to rip your hair out. It's a little bit too much. Again, this is the genericized version. So we just need the one that's just purely generic, right? Generic talks, generic talks. Should I, you know what, hang on, let me, what if we do like, because it's obvious what the divine mandate is a single thing, right? Listen to the sound of the siren test. Okay, I'm turning on my AC. Boop. Yeah, tasty. Raxus, we're going to add to dictionary. All or deer are thus all Vordir can be thought of as the bridge between humanoid and animal. Be that elf, dwarf, human, halfling, gnome, etc. And, or maybe should it be et al? What's the difference between etc. and et al? Hold on. Earns other people not specifically named in your list, etc. is used when listing groups of nouns and adjectives. Oh, well. Okay. Yeah, it's not needed. Kratos' moveset is the best in the first game. Nice. Humanoid. Human, elf, dwarf, halfling, gnome. I'm trying to think if there are any other ones. Yep. Human, dwarf. Human, elf, dwarf, halfling, gnome. Yep, and serving as the spiritual link between link of nature. That sounds better, right? Now let's see. The various order species. Whoops. Follows. And then we need a table in here. Table. Actually, wait, no, I don't think we need... How do I go back? Yeah, I need to do... Table. Okay. Vorin. Oh, that capitalized it. All right. Wait a second. Iconic name. Where? Designation. Okay, I could fit something here. Where designation. Maybe area of influence? Area of influence. Okay, let me grab all of our stuff here. Okay. Roven. Prodoxin. Opavin. Penioxin. And last but not least, the Celerorin. Wolf. Where Raven. Where Bear. Where Crocodile. Where Fox. Where Lion. Where Shark. Primes. ISS messengers. The endurance. Making him sound like bog brushes is like, yeah. Yep. Shark. There, shark. There, lion. Exactly. I'm trying to think of, like, how would we... I don't want to say it, because the Crodoxin, their whole thing is, like, they can filter and start cleaning, like, waters. Like, so they're in the bogs and swamps and things like that. That's where they're most comfortable at home in. And their whole thing is that... Oh, that was weird. Oh, that was really weird. We had a moment where brief disconnect, like, for a split second. Very weird. What are you doing in my swamp? Yeah, the Wolverine were the Prime. They were the originals. The Revorin became the eyes/messengers for the Wolverine. the Barovan are the endurance of nature. So they're like they are the healing. They are the ones that can heal like nature in and of itself, right? No, 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 because the defenders of the oceans, like the ocean. Whoop! I just realized Sjork, Sjork. That's fucking typoed. Um, so like the ocean guard are the were sharks, obviously. Maybe the Savannah lands. I'm trying to think, where would lions be that wolves wouldn't be? You know what I mean? It would have to be like savannah. You'd think, but there are wolves in the savannah. Hold on a second. Is there a map? Yeah, so the vast majority of the world. Right. So just kind of like in Africa, there's not a lot of African wolves. So I guess what would you say that, right? Yeah, so South America, it's South America and Africa are like the only continents that don't. Well, I mean, fine. Australia is also a continent slash island, right? Australia doesn't. You're kidding me. Can I open it? Can I just open the image? All right, so this. Right. It's kind of like where they were all throughout past distribution. That's all I care about. I don't care about like human interference, right? So this is kind of like how wolves were distributed around the world. Mm, okay. Boop. So yeah, kind of like they have dingus. I mean dingoes. Yeah. Like a long fox. Yeah. Um. Yeah. So I'd have to say like the Savannah lands or something like that, right? Swamps, bogs. Rivers. This would be the oceans, savannas, the forests. So primary. So are the skies. All those damn long legs. Hell yeah. The werefoxes. Supposed to be forests, villages, cities. Where's the village city? Okay. There's the originators. Messengers. Healer/endurance. Purifiers. Let me think about what this one was. Because the Volpavin are too clever for their own good, right? Seaguard. No. Again, we've talked about it multiple times, but the Volpavin, like, all Vordir have the Divine Mandate. All of them. Every single one of them. Protect nature, the spirits, and the natural order. The Volpavin like to creatively... They like to... Oh, but the letter of the law doesn't say shit about humans or elves or dwarves or stuff like that. So, as long as we don't fuck up the natural order of things where the spirits go to the afterlife, we're just borrowing the spirit. We're borrowing the soul. And when we die, both our souls go. Like, it's just, we're delaying going to the afterlife. That's where the multi-tails come from for the werefoxes and everything. But it's also made them like... the other Vordir really don't like the werefoxes because they are too clever for their own good. They try to rules lawyer the Divine Mandate, basically. Whereas all the rest of them understand that as part of the spirit of the Divine Mandate, that includes humans, elves, dwarves, gnomes, halflings... Like, the dragons, the Drakine, the Drakmolkine, includes all of them. Lizardmen, everything. Saul Goodman moment, yep. I am gonna put just cleverness. The cleverness of nature. Again, and I think it just fits more with, like, they're too clever for their own good. Adaptability. That works, yeah. Adaptability. You know, I'm going to get rid of this primary here. Forest, Arctic. Forest, Arctic. Skies. Forest, Arctic. Yeah. Forest, village, city. I've never heard somebody say strong as a lion. Again, that might just be a cultural thing. Like, you hear much more like strong like the bull. Which got used a lot in Puss in Boots, which is funny to me. Or, in our case, strong as an ox is what got said a lot, right? Strong as an ox. That boy's as strong as an ox. Yeah, never heard someone say strong as a lion. Yeah, courage. The courage is what we got in the United States for lions, and I don't know why. It's courageous as a lion. I'm gonna put primary area of influence. Primary area of influence. Or primary areas of influence. I'm gonna do the adapters here. Get rid of endurance here, because that's kind of like their moniker. They are the endurance of nature. Again, the originals, the originators of everything. King of the jungle, even though they don't live in the jungle. I know, isn't that funny? King of the jungle, but they don't live in jungles. Oop, turn off the AC. Okay. They do call it a pride of lions. As Malay once said, I didn't come to lead lambs, I came to awaken lions. It's good. It's a good fucking phrase. It should just be the... I think just the protectors. Yeah. Whoop. I need to better phrase this. While the primary influence is where you are most likely this would be city, village. Fuck. I don't like that. So I'm going to do this. Primary area of influence. Well, the primary area of influence is where you are most likely to find these particular boar deer. There is nothing states they must be within those areas. You could easily discover a tribe of Barovan desert if wish or near a great lake. I just want this to be, don't assume that you'll never run into like a were shark in the desert sort of thing. Like, you can't assume. You don't know what their plan is, what they're doing. Are they on a journey somewhere or something like that? You know what I mean? Like, this makes it sound too much like, you know, they're just being contrarian, right? If, you know, can I get rid of this whole row here? I'm gonna delete this row. We don't need this row. Whoop. Fuck. I meant, yeah, add row above. Shit. I meant column. Delete column. Okay. Primary role. Okay. That's better. There we go. Now I don't even need to worry about it. Exactly. Because there are a shit ton of werewolves in the cities. right? There's a fuck ton of werewolves in the cities. Like, you have Smiling Wolf Studios as a prime example. The chances are slim, but never zero, like being mugged by gnomes. I've seen it. I've seen it happen. I've seen somebody get mugged by gnomes. It was a little midget in a gnome costume, but still, I've seen it. That's a gnome. That's a gnome right there. Are areas where each of the deer find most comfortable for their needs, such as when near the oceans. Again, we need to add to dictionary. Boop. Nothing in the mandate that states they must be there. While it is likely, though, it is unlikely. Does there? The chance is never entirely zero. Though it is unlikely to run into a wereshark in the desert, the chance is never entirely zero. For the individual wanderlust like any sapient species. All right. Again, we need to add this, the dictionary. I can't believe it hasn't asked us here. Oh, there we go. Add to dictionary. Add to dictionary. Add dictionary. Add dictionary. Add to dictionary. Yeah, we already added that to dictionary. Cool. Welcome, Ebony Ziti. Welcome, welcome. Okay, let's see. I want a section here. How do we... Maybe here. Can I change? Yeah, bold. Just think, okay. Wait, what? Why'd that change? Oh! And then if I do... Okay. Twice. Not kin blood. dependent on the cultural customs of in both good and bad connotations. I'm trying to think of how to best word this. This is both good and bad connotations. And can be used, get a generalized reaction to a voir dire. Whoops. Being discovered. Though the initial gut reaction is usually fear. Like, again, when we see one of them is actually real, like a werewolf is real or a wereshark is real, like your first gut instinct is, oh fuck. It's usually not a good like first impression. So let's do Presentia. Whoa. Well, Presentia is very spiritual nation. And its founding mythology highlights the assistance of the guardian wolves and spirits throughout. This does not mean it is a monolith. Okay, so let's see. Add to dictionary. The reaction. What's the best way to put this, right? The overwhelming majority would react in their true form. Yeah. All their subsets in the know dare even exist at all. So again, we're going to break down by nation first, and then I'm going to break down by like subgroups, like the mages, the Anvaki, and stuff like that, right? That's how we're going to break everything down. So let's go into the Golden Dawn Imperium. Elves of the GDI. Again, I think it's funny. But yeah, Tales of the GDI. Well, let's put this in. Well, no nation is a direct hive mind of thought and experience. The majority of the elves and humans living in the GDI. Tales of the Vordir as misguided mentalists. I need to put in here too. Tales and mythology within Rosentia itself runs the entire gamut. Opinions, origins, and outlook on if the deer are monsters or guardians or something in between. Rosentia itself. A melting pot of... No, I don't want to do that. Yeah. So let's not do that. Elves view nature as something to be curated and protected as one would a garden, while the Vordir believe that nature should be wild and free. While as the Vordir don't inherently view farming, gardening, logging, and the likes. The licks. The licks. Oh. The licks. All right. I can't believe I did that. I hate when I do that. And the likes, and I do the licks. As evil or destructive. The fables and tales about cast them in a more positive light, though often depict them as brutish, dim-witted, and slow. Okay. Now you're about to see the fucking polar opposite. Dwarven clan holds. Well, not exactly a nation in and of itself. This collective group of myriad clans self-identify under the global banner of the clan holds. Their view upon... Again, I'm going to put this in the dictionary because the clan holds is specifically... This is a reference directly to the Dwarven clans themselves, right? So, think of the clan holds as like... It's literally the Holy Roman Empire, right? Holy Roman Empire. Holy Roman Empire was an empire of thousands of nations, all collectively forming together under this kind of loosey-goosey alliance known as the Holy Roman Empire to make them more potent and powerful on the global stage. That's basically what the Dwarven clanholds are. And I do emphasize loosey-goosey when it comes to alliances here, because the clanholds fight each other all the fucking time too. they aren't really unified in that sense, but it's one of those things like no, a dwarf is allowed to punch another dwarf. If a manling comes in and punches a dwarf, every single dwarf in there don't care how much they hate each other. They're turning immediately killing that motherfucker. Like, no, you don't interfere when the dwarves are fighting each other. Do not interfere. Do not get involved. Is exceptionally negative. Carried through to the current day via the wisdom in the stone. Again, we'll add a link here. I'm going to add links to a bunch of all this stuff, right? The wisdom in the stone, which depicts the Vordir as constant threats attacking dwarven enclaves and villages, even taking out entire clans themselves. I have to know exactly what the Swiss cantons are like. Anti-Boy Scout. I'd have to know what they're like. But maybe. Because again, there is no like dwarven king that upholds everything. There is the like, what's the way to put it? There's the clan table that, like, the most powerful clans, they have a like representative that goes to the clan table, and they're kind of like the thing in charge of this idea of the dwarven clanholds. But the clan table in and of itself can't dictate that you, dwarven clan, you must do this sort of thing, right? It's much more like they are there as the representative of the dwarven race as a whole on the world stage. They're like the leadership that if the Golden Dawn Imperium needs to negotiate with the clanholds, they go to the clan table, right? This would be your like your moot, your Landsrod, stuff like that, right? That's basically what this is. That's what the clan table is. That's who you would go to if you wanted to negotiate with the dwarven clanholds as a whole. This is partially true in that the dwarves are so destructive towards the environment that they have created several disaster areas within their own territory that are unfit for habitation. They basically, because there's so many different things they're like, and they're trying to get up on each other, right? So it's not that the dwarves are inherently destructive, because again, when you see the dwarves in Rosentia, because there are dwarven expats all throughout the world, right? And when they're in these other kingdoms, they create genuine wonders and stuff like that. They are genuinely great engineers. The problem is that the clanholds are so loosey-goosey allianced that you need to convince each individual clan that, hey, I know you're trying to compete with those 5 clans surrounding you, But if you do that, you're going to damage the environment, sort of thing. And the clan would just look at you and be like, "So you want us to die then?" It's like that's the problem. That's the struggle that the clan holds are stuck in, right? They're stuck in the cycle where they can't afford to not, like, if those are resources that we can use to better, like, elevate our clan to make it safer for our kin, we're gonna do it, because there's not a lot of trust between the different clans, right? There are some clans that are a little more, like, relaxed than others. The Worm Guard, as an example. The Worm Guard are in the northeast of the clan holds, and they are much more, like, they're much more passive with nature. They're much more in tune with it because, well, they're dragon worshippers. And there are a lot of dragons in the Worm Guard area who are the Worm Guard could basically be like, we don't need to try that hard. We got a dragon. Like, yes, we are subservient to him and we help the Drakine and the Drakmolkine, but you know what? You know what? If you come in our territory, fuck you. Well, the dragon will come whoop your ass. So the Worm Guard are much more passive about it. So media coming from the Worm Guard themselves, I might even put them in as like an exception here in this like section, right? The Worm Guard view the Vordir as much more positive. But that's not saying much compared to, like, the Dwarven clan holds, because if you said that you would actually, like, put them out if they were on fire, that's more positive than what the clan holds believe. That's way more positive than what the clan holds believe. Thus, conflict with the Vordir has been a nigh constant thing throughout ancient history. And that conflict has been carried forward through the carvings known as carvings in every clan hold known as the wisdom in the stone. Do I want to do clan hold? I mean, I'll have to break it off of, like, yeah, well, I'll think on that one. It is little surprise then that all media, fables, and tales from the dwarves will universally cast the Vordir in a very negative light, associating them with murderers, monsters, beasts, plagues, deceivers, rapists, etc. I can't believe I spelled deceivers wrong. Oh. Also, we want to talk about grammar rules in English real quick, because deceivers is one of those classic ones. So the grammar rule is I before E, except after C. And they had to get rid of that rule because there were more words that broke the rule than actually carried the rule through. And it's like, incredible. Incredible. Well done. Oh my god. English being a bastardization of another bastardized language, of another bastardized language, of another bastardized language. Oh boy. We're getting in, woo! Or, let's say corruption. A corruption. English is a corruption of British English, which is a corruption of Anglo-Saxon like languages slamming into each other and merging together, which they in themselves are corruptions of various forms of Latin and tribal languages. So, you know what I mean? it's it's so fucky. Okay. Um Next let's do the Sahir. Desert nation made up of mostly not desert. I'll explain that later. So the Sahir originally was an entirely desert nation, but as they themselves spread out, they started conquering more and more territories that were more vibrant and lush. And so now the Sahir is the desert nation made up mostly of not desert. Up mostly of not desert. And the lizardmen, the vast lizardmen, majority population view the deer as avenging angels or carriers of karmic will. Like if the Arabs didn't lose the caliphate. Yeah, basically, right? So remember, the Sahir originally started, especially along what are known as the twin snakes. So twin snake iconography is very important in Sahir culture. The twin snakes are, as I called it, the Greenway, which is the freshwater river that comes from not deep in Sahir territory. Well, now it's deep in Sahir territory, but originally it came from out of Sahir territory and went to the sea, and it was flowing towards the sea. That was known as the Greenway because you had lots of like oases. Oh god, that's a hard word to say. A lot of oases. That's not an easier way to say it. Lots of land and stuff like that. It's basically, think of it like the Nile, right? You had a fertile, lush little patch, whereas you had desert, mostly desert stuff like that around you from there on. This is where the Sahir originated from. Then they had to the north of them, of the Greenway, they had the second serpent, which they known as the poisoned river. Because what that was the sea going in the opposite direction. So you had a river that flowed to the sea, and then you had a sea river that flowed into the desert. And now, deeper in the desert, along that what was known as the Poison River, you could find small bits of like fresh water where the constancy of the sands and everything like that were filtering out the salt slowly as it got deeper and deeper and deeper, and eventually you would have like lush areas, but not much, right? You're talking about like small little like offshoots, right? But in the Saharian culture, this led to the idea of the twin serpents. So you had the cerulean serpent, and then you had the white serpent, which was just their word for what the poison river was. And they viewed it as like the cerulean brings life, the white brings death. But in their discovering of like going further and further down the poison river, they would find these oases. So this then started them thinking the cycle of, the cerulean serpent feeds into the ocean. And the ocean feeds into the poison river. And then eventually that poison river is purified enough that it can actually support life. So this leads into the whole concept of the cycle. It's the twin serpents, one devouring the other. Life leads into death, leads into life. That's their version of the Ouroboros, their version of the cycle. And this also plays out in their economics thing. If you want to export, you take stuff to the cerulean serpent and you take it down the river to the ocean. If you want to import, you go up the poison river, because the poison river is flowing the opposite direction. So they started trying to figure out if there's a way to make villages and crossings across the desert to connect the two rivers. And they eventually succeed in these as technology improves over time. So they get this kind of like express beltway of exports and imports. It's what helps make them a powerful enough kingdom to then start conquering their neighbors. And then their neighbors have more luscious territories and everything like that. So they're jokingly called the Desert Nation. The Desert Nation made up mostly of not desert. Yeah, once they're able to cross over the desert well enough to make the travel routes viable, you can then ship stuff down quickly because you're following the flow of the river, and then you can bring stuff back up quickly because you follow the flow of the other river going the opposite direction. Ugh. And again, that shaped their whole like culture and mythology. Now, talking about the Vordir themselves. Vordir as avenging angels or carriers of karmic will. Oftentimes, the interaction between the lizardmen, between the Syrian people, and the Vordir throughout their history was as matters of dire need, such as one Syrian. Oh man, I spelled it wrong here. Yeah, one Syrian. I need to add these both, or it's gonna drive me crazy. Destroying an oasis and receiving divine punishment via an assault by the Vordir. Area. Or consequence. And going here to such as, or maybe I should put it like this. Such as one Syrian destroying an oasis and receiving divine punishment via an assault by the Vordir in the area. This idea of justice and vengeance became ingrained in the culture, and thus most media coming from here depict the Vordir in a mythical light, a mythical light, where they appear from the very sands to enact judgment and then disappear just as quickly. Okay? And now let's jump to the Swaha. The nation of the jungles. The nation of jungles and rainforests. Overwhelmingly inhabited by lizardmen. Whoops. Have a long and continuing history with the Vordir. Their view of the shapeshifters are as reclusive guardians and defenders of secrets and hidden cities deep within their jungle home. In this way, the Swaha will often depict the Vordir as keepers of secrets, of keepers of lost knowledge, and as obstacles to overcome, be it through might or diplomacy in adventure media. Yeah, that's the way, I think that's the best way to put it, right? So again, the Swaha are jungles. Like, that's what they're known for. This is the land baron. Sure, there are a couple like border nations of the Swaha, but the Swaha in and of itself is the hard physical barrier between the Golden Dawn Imperium and its ambitions and the clan holds and their ambitions. They basically don't want to cross that land barrier. It's deemed ill-advised. Because the lizardmen of the Swaha, they're not pushovers to begin with, and it's jungles and rainforests. They're not exactly conducive to, like, mass transit of military might. So they're just kind of viewed as like a, well, if we want to lose half of our forces, sure, fuck it, we'll go through the Swaha. Otherwise, no, verboten. We're not going there. Nope, not happening. We'd rather go around. We'll take the oceans, load us up on boats, and bypass the Swaha entirely. Ironically, this is what keeps the nations bordering the Swaha kind of safe, because it becomes the whole like, well, there's nothing we want from the Swaha, and the nations that are bordering the Swaha, they are on friendly terms with the lizardmen that live there. If we attack the nations bordering it, they can retreat into the jungles and keep launching attacks out of the jungles, and we can't really fight back against that. Like, it becomes an economical, like, nightmare. So, both of the much larger nations, the superpowers, are basically just like, nah, we're not dealing with that. We're not dealing with this bullshit. So that's what basically keeps the Swaha from being really trampled on. So it's kind of unspoiled nature in and of itself. The lizardmen there, they do have advancing technology and everything like that, but they are much more in tune with, like, being hunters. That's more their vibe. So they're really, really good at, because they didn't always have where a nation decided that they, you know, again, history's proven, nations will often try to test their mettle. And every nation that's gone against the Swaha has come up wanting. because you have to fight your way into the jungle where they're the most accustomed to fighting, and they are all very accustomed to being hunters. So being sneaky, doing constant ambushes, picking you off one by one, like it's not a good time. There's not like you're not gonna have like a standing battle. If you could fight your way all the way to one of their cities, well, are you able to actually cut their city off and not be attacked constantly from the outside? Good luck. And again, it being massive rainforests and jungle and stuff like that, you can't really burn it either. There's too much moisture, and there's just not enough like dead matter to actually catch the flames. Yeah, so in the Swaha, there are like hidden cities that the lizardmen don't even know about. But they'll kind of stumble across them, and these hidden cities are absolutely Aether, right? They're Vordir tribes. So they will stumble into these Aether, and like they look like hidden or lost cities, like built in the sides of mountains, built in like treetop housing, stuff like that. And there are Vordir everywhere. Because, again, it's their tribal home. Of course there are Vordir everywhere there. So this has kind of led them to, like, this whole idea of, like, when you go on adventures in the jungle, you might stumble across, a lost city, and the guardians of that city will come to confront you, and. So that's kind of where their media has been skewed towards, right? They're much more like, if the Swaha were to invent Indiana, if anyone were to invent Indiana Jones, it'd be the Swaha, right? Like Alex Quartermain, that's where it'd come from. They would be the ones most likely to have those kind of like adventurous discoveries of lost cities and temples and finding massive cave networks of booby traps and things like that. That's where they would be most likely to see it. Yeah, I think that's good enough for the nations. Like the main movers and shakers, right? The primary most powerful nations on Saren. Rosentia, the Golden Dawn Imperium, the Dwarven Clan holds the Sahir and the Swaha. Alright. I'm going to do a double here. Let's just do like groups. Right? So group ideas? Group thought now. I need a better way to put this, chat. Better way to put it. Because here's where I'm going to break down, like, what do the Anvaki think? What do wizards think? That sort of thing, right? Or let's do, like, collective thoughts. Collective group thoughts. Okay, and then wizards. Or maybe wizards, spellcasters, just in general. Wizards! Wizards. Okay. Mages on world of sarin are a known quantity. With much of the technological growth and even science fiction depicting great advancements from magic as opposed to just technology itself. As a whole, the spell-slinging community view Vordir as changelings often associated with the arcane realms. Excuse me. My God. Terrible, terrible typos everywhere. Realms where they are considered the law of the land. Not all wizards are aware of the existence of the Vordir, but the majority of them have interacted with them in some capacity throughout their lives. Thus, the Vordir are considered an open secret amongst the wizarding community, kept primarily at the insistence of dragonkind and the familiars that the mages form compacts with. Dragonkind not one word? I feel like it would be one word. Hold on. Hold up. Yeah, it would be one word. Okay, I'm just going to add it to my dictionary. Fuck it. Get fucked. Add it to dictionary. You know what if I do this? Spell slinging. Sarin is the planet, so I need to add that to dictionary. Given the world at large has a general distrust of mages, oftentimes associating them in modern day as charlatans, con artists, and cheats. Oh, it's all A's. Oh my God, charlatans. Oops. And then get rid of that A right there. Yeah. On artists and cheats. Most of society don't take the word for wizard as gospel. For those that speak out locally about the Vordir existing, oftentimes elicit far little response, or so I do it again. I gotta think of ways to do this, right? Or counts for the effort, or more likely to be targeted by Vordir, spirits, and dragonkind themselves. Okay, and then we have... yeah, let's put it right here. The Awakened. I'm going to put the Worm Guard here in the collective group. Same thing with Shrine Tenders. Awakened. Known as the Andvaki in the Vordir tongues. So I need to add to dictionary, and we're going to add a link here to the Andvaki. Add link. The Andvaki. Tongue. Are those humanoids that have faced a near-death experience? And then I don't need to put that in. We can do that. Are keenly aware of their existence and can see the Vordir regardless of their chosen form. Due to their direct connection to the spirit realm, and the protective attitude the Vordir display in regards to the Andvaki themselves. I can't believe that you need me to explain that there's lowercase and uppercase. Lowercase and uppercase. Are held in very high regard as guardians and seniors. Guardians and spiritual guides in their lives. Thus, the awakened will often capitulate to whatever a Vordir deems necessary. Alright, the Vordir themselves. Alright. It's hard to type and like read this out at the same time. Jesus Christ. Alright. So let's do the Worm Guard as our own special group. Oh my goodness. I'm getting kind of hungry, chat. I'm getting kind of hungry. I think I'm going to go make myself some food real quick. But yeah, I'll be right back in a second. Yeah, let me know what you guys think of like doing this. Like, we're not going to do this particular every Wednesday. Writing Wednesday is just going to be like, we're going to do something associated directly with the books and everything, right? And this is directly associated with the books. So, yeah. Yeah. I'll be right back. I'm going to go get myself some food. My stomach is grumbling. All right, Chad. I'm waiting for my soup to cook. So I have a little Pop-Tart here that I put in the microwave. Yay! Or microwave in the toaster. Whoop. Jeez. This is because... A spouse? Yeah. Whoops. I was looking at you chat the whole time to see if I could type without looking, and then I noticed above my hair, I said friction. Already. Already view them as dragon cults to begin with. Okay. I need to add the worm guard. Dictionary. The Dracorin. The Drakine and the Drakmolkine. Really? You couldn't figure this one out? Oh, I see. And then it is actually spelled wrong. Nice. Worm guard. Alright. Oh, shit. So we'll have to do the Wolverine. We'll have to break them apart on their own. So the Wolverine will get their own page and everything. All right. Okay. Which one do we want to fill out first? I'll just start filling out the Wolverine, right? Personal worlds. Originally, so we need a generic description first, and then we can start going into the nitty gritty of like origins of the Wolverine, myths, legends, stuff like that, right? So let's first go into probably the origins, right? Warrior races. Hailing. Their first true side. Thus, prime ordeer to which all are created off of as a template. Before Wolverine existed as their own species, however, they were a curse affliction created by the storyteller do we want to do that, or do we want to assume that people, like, because I'll put a link to the storyteller. Add a link, that'll be important later. Species, however, they were a curse affliction created by the story to punish the spoilers upon the world of Sakara. Teller, another aspect of Sever, the first aspect of Severus Specifically, it was a curse afflicted upon a mage Henry Vidorin. And horrific. Doing multiple and horrific experiments. Let's get rid of a pawn here and do a pawn here. Including both flora and fauna, with particular focus on wolves. Yes. Option and becoming the first Wolvarin. Oops. And the nature of spreading his divine makes it sound like it isn't a divine ailment. His affliction to others. Eventually, a Drakine known as Cortisoth would confront. You know, I'm going to get rid of Henry, because Henry makes it sound too mundane. And Vidorin would confront Vidorin and slay him, but not for being infected with the curse himself. Be the only time such an affliction would get around the dragon's blood, Drakine's veins, and turn first rage of nature. Eventually, Soth would go on to master the affliction, allowing him personal control over shifting standard self, hulking behemoth, a scaled monstrosity. Alright. Again, the first rage of nature is what the other Wolvarin called him, because he didn't turn into a wolf. He instead becomes this, like, hulking monstrosity. Like, just a pure, scaled, like, monster. You see it partially in His Majesty the Dragon, because he can still function that way. But there's also what kind of gives him a bond towards the Wolvarin affliction, and eventually creating it as its own race, in and of itself. Eventually, Wolvarin cursed, which would carry on ascension into dragonhood, then to divinity, and becoming the second aspect of Severus. Add a dictionary. Add a dictionary. Add a dictionary. Oh, we had it capitalized. Now we don't have it capitalized. All right, add a dictionary. Yeah, add a dictionary. That's fine. That's fine. All right, let me go grab my soup. I'll be right back, Jack. And grab my soup. And I'm back with my 3-cheese tortellini soup. 3-cheese tortellini. Oh, yeah. Mamma mia, just like Mama used to make. He said never. Because Mama never made 3-cheese tortellini. Or tortellini in general. Oh, it should be real tasty. Anyways. Multiversal. Cortisoth would carry that affection for the Wolverine cursed through to creating a as a entire new species. How are you? Oh, I was gonna say, How are you half wrong? It's very fucking strange. That was very fucking strange. Averil again is a world, so I'm gonna add that to the dictionary. There's an entire new species. This would be seen during the testing of Meraxis. Cordysoth discovered through seeding the game Lost Frontiers into various worlds. Part of the initial retinue carried over into the world of Averil was a single Wolverine named Sidoris with the nickname of Steeljaw. From here, Sidoris would prove to be a constant and leal companion. Wait, you don't have leal? That's how you spell it, right? Hold on a second. Yeah, that's how you spell it. You don't have leal, Obsidian? Weird. Weird! You want it capitalized? Why do you want it capitalized? No, add to dictionary. You can be lowercase as well. Fucking weird. You're weird, Obsidian. Stop it. Stop it. Get some help. Be a constant and leal companion to Meraxis himself throughout the trials and troubles in the world of Averil. During this time, would begin to shape the very concept of the spirit realm. Spirit realm as a tangible connection between the mundane and the divine. This, when he uplifted Sidoris for his dutiful service, giving the Silver Moon crown and built the direct link between the Wolvaran people and the spiritual world as half-spirit beings. Through the further connection that Sidoris himself forged with a growing he named Mani, who represented the moon as a silver Venus. He would create the link between the Wolvaran and the moon itself. I spelled deity wrong. Wow, yeah. Again, and this is why the I before E rule, by the way, right here. Stuff like this. Deity. I before E except after C. Well, what about D? Oh. English. English is a funny language. Why it's so difficult for others to learn, because you have shit like that everywhere. Everywhere. Oh, that's really good. Mmm. Yeah, so Progresso soups, 3 cheese tortellini. That's 2 for 2. The first one was great. The second one is really good too. So yes, I would recommend the Progresso 3 cheese tortellini soup. Not saying it's the best soup you'll ever have in your life, but it's tasty. It's really nice. It's pleasing to eat, and it's tasty. And that's all you can really ask for from a canned soup. Mm. Oh, it's so nice. And final. Be carried forth into a myriad other worlds. All right. Okay. So let me just recap this. Again, this is a brief recap. It's not supposed to be entire books worth. It's just a recap of how we got here. The Wolverine are the progenitor of all Vordir races, with their first true appearance upon the world of Averol alongside the divine dragon Emperor Meraxus' rise to divinity and aspect of Severus. Thus they are considered the prime Vordir to which all others are created off of as a template. Before the Wolverine existed as their own species, however, they were a curse affliction created by the storyteller, the first aspect of Severus, to punish despoilers upon the world of Saqqara. Specifically, it was a curse afflicted on a mage named Vidorin, who was conducting multiple and horrific experiments upon wildlife, both flora and fauna, with particular focus on wolves. This then led to his corruption in becoming the first Wolvarin on Saqqara, and the originator of spreading his affliction to others. Eventually, a Drachyne known as Cortisoth would confront Vidorin and slay him, but not before being infected with the curse himself. This would be the only time such an affliction would get around the dragon's blood within a Drachyne's veins and turn him into the first rage of nature. Cortisoth would go on to master the affliction, allowing him personal control over shifting between his standard self and a hulking behemoth of a scaled monstrosity. This shared affliction would lead to a bond forming between Cortisoth and the other Wolverine cursed, which would carry on through Cortisoth's ascension into dragonhood, then to divinity, and becoming the second aspect of Severus. Once fully ascended to a multiversal / multiplanar god, Cortisoth would carry that affection for the Wolverine curse through to creating them as an entire new species. This would be seen during the testing of Meraxus, who Cortisoth discovered through seeding the game Lost Frontiers into various worlds. Part of the initial retinue carried over into the world of Averol was a single Wolverine named Sidoris, with the nickname of Steeljaw. From here, Sidoris would prove to be a constant and loyal companion to Meraxus himself, throughout the trials and troubles in the world of Averol. During this time, Meraxes would begin to shape the very concept of the spirit realm as a tangible connection between the mundane and the divine. This is when he uplifted Sidorus for his dutiful service, giving him the silver moon crown, and built the direct link between the Wolverine people and the spiritual world as half-spirit beings. Through the further connection that Sidorus himself forged with a growing planar deity named Mani, who represented the moon as a silver dragoness, he would create the link between the Wolverine and the moon itself. Once Meraxes ascended to become a multiplanar deity, and the third and final aspect of Severus, he uplifted the entity of the entirety. Whoops, you're right. Entirety. No, what did I misspell here? Oh, it's supposed to be an either. Okay. Entirety of the Wolverine race alongside him to be carried forth into the myriad other worlds. So there you go. That is the origins, broken down in more like footnote Wikipedia style, right? That's cutting out a lot of details. It's getting to the quick boom 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 boom, right? Because later on we'll talk about the connection to the Hells and everything like that, and it was through the gift that Meraxes gave to Sidorus, because Meraxes genuinely he loved Sidorus. Platonically, mind you. You fucking weirdos. He only had eyes for Fedoris. Not for Sidorus, but for Lady, who would become Empress Fedoris. I say that in case Josh was listening. All right, what do you guys think of that? The origins part. I'm gonna need to do that after. That's right. We need to do that after this one. Oh, maybe I should put where the name comes from. Their name itself derives the language with Wolvar being wolf and the suffix of in being added to denote sapience. And a dictionary. Okay. Okay. Let's go snowboarding now. Everybody's learning now. Physiology. Okay. Dragons. Here we go. I need to have this capitalized. Then we do boop 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 boop. All right. Missed quite a bit, but we'll catch up later. Okay. Jojo, for you, I'll read the origin section real quick for you. All right. The Wolverine are the progenitor of all Vordir races, with their first true appearance upon the world of Averol alongside the divine dragon emperor Meraxus' rise to divinity and aspect of Severus. Thus they are considered the prime Vordir to which all others are created off of as a template. Their name itself derives from the Dracoran language, with Wolvar being wolf and the suffix of "in" being added to denote sapience. Before the Wolverine existed as their own species, however, they were a curse affliction created by the storyteller, the first aspect of Severus, to punish despoilers upon the world of Sakara. Specifically, it was a curse afflicted on a mage named Verdorin, who was conducting multiple and horrific experiments upon wildlife, both flora and fauna, with particular focus on wolves. This then led to his corruption and becoming the first Wolvarin on Sakara and the originator of spreading his affliction to others. Eventually, a Drakine known as Cortisoth would confront Verdorin and slay him, but not before being infected with the curse himself. This would be the only time such an affliction would get around the dragon's blood within a Drakine's veins and turn him into the first rage of nature. Cortisoth would go on to master the affliction, allowing him personal control over shifting between his standard self and a hulking behemoth of a scaled monstrosity. This shared affliction would lead to a bond forming between Cortisoth and the other Wolvarin cursed, which would carry on through Cortisoth's ascension into dragonhood, then to divinity, and becoming the second aspect of Severus. Once fully ascended to a multiversal/multiplanar god, Cortisoth would carry that affection for the Wolverine curse through to creating them as an entire new species. This would be seen during the testing of Meraxus, who Cortisoth discovered through seeding the game Lost Frontiers into various worlds. Part of the initial retinue carried over into the world of Averol was a single Wolvarin named Sidoris, with the nickname of Steeljaw. From here, Sidoris would prove to be a constant and leal companion to Meraxus himself throughout the trials and troubles in the world of Averol. During this time, Meraxus would begin to shape the very concept of the spirit realm as a tangible connection between the mundane and the divine. This is when he uplifted Sidoris for his dutiful service, giving him the Silver Moon crown, and built the direct link between the Wolvarin people and the spiritual world as half-spirit beings. Through the further connection that Sidoris himself forged with a growing planar deity named Mani, who represented the moon as a silver dragoness, he would create the link between the Wolvarin and the moon itself. Once Meraxus ascended to become a multiplanar deity and the third and final aspect of Severus, he uplifted the entirety of the Wolvarin race alongside him to be carried forth into the myriad other worlds. And then we go into the cast, the five forms, everything like that. Like, I didn't want this to be too heavy-handed. I don't want it to be too heavy-handed. It's supposed to be like a Wikipedia article, right? That's essentially what Obsidian is. It's your wiki for your world, right? Mm. Oh, so good. Yeah. By the way, it's called the Silver Moon Crown for a reason. And it's because while Meraxes was forming everything, like Sidoris was already talking to Mani. And Mani was created because of what Meraxes was doing. Meraxes was already planning to like bring the spirit world, so he was already creating Mani and Soul. And he was doing it as kind of a nod to one of his guildmates that was in the guild Starlight with him before it all, like, before he was the only one that got copied over. But he was in the guild Starlight with him, so Nidhogger, he was obsessed with kind of like Norse cultures and mythology and everything. He wasn't directly associated with Sidoris, but he felt like Sidoris and his personality fit better with Nidhogger than he did with Bloodfang. Bloodfang was the Wolverine player that didn't get copied over. So essentially, he combined two aspects of two of the players that have been left behind now. In his mind, right? As remember in His Majesty the Dragon, Meraxes, it's not like an isekai, right? Meraxes was copied over. He is an actual direct copy of the man that played Meraxes. Only now he's obviously actually a dragon and everything, right? But it's because Cortisoth didn't want to lose any aspect of Meraxes' intelligence. And he needed to give him a leg up. So he brought the whole kingdom of Drakor over as well. Or, well, as it was known in Lost Frontiers, Starlight. He brought the entirety of Starlight over. But he didn't want competing interests or, like, that's the way to put it. He didn't want the other players to interfere. Because they didn't have the same level of intelligence and drive that Meraxes did. So, he didn't want to copy them over. But he brought all the NPCs over, and given he is Severus's... He is the dragon god of magic and creation. He is the actual aspect of Severus's capability to create things. Not creativity. That is where Storyteller comes in. But he is the aspect of creation, magic, and immortality. Those are what Cortisoth represents. And do not, for the love of God, as we've explained multiple times, do not try to seek immortality. Holy shit. Cortisoth will come after you very fast. And very, that's his berserker button. That's what drives him, like, absolutely up the wall. The only thing that has ever stopped immortality is the total, like, erasure of an entire, like, universe. So, He's very keen on. Like Severus himself could literally kill Cortisov. He doesn't want to though. Cortisov is interesting because he represents the negative sides of immortality. It's something that Severus had never conceived of in his entire existence. That there's a downside to immortality, right? It's why the aspects are the way they are. It's Severus trying to understand like everything himself. He is the origin of all things. He is the beginning and the end of everything. So he has the aspects which are basically parts of himself. Or they represent parts of himself. So he could try to learn and think things through. It's why he's very... when it comes to like things like empathy and things like that, he's completely stunted. Because there was only him. Like, he doesn't have that natural, like, empathy or like, maternal or paternal, maternal, fraternal, any sort of instincts or anything like that, right? He has no concept of these things. Like, of sadness or stuff like that. He understands hatred when somebody does something you don't like. Those are, like, basic things you can grasp. Like, somebody does something against you, therefore, it sets you back. That can lead to annoyance. He can understand stuff like that. Right? But it's very, like, loose terms. Mm. Alrighty. Ooh, Kree's got a new video he put out. Ooh. Ooh, I'm tempted. Because it's about mixtape. Okay. Yeah, so by the way, I think this is the best way to go about it. To go into the casts, the 5 forms, and the actual physiology of them. Remember, there is no, was it? Man, this is one of those ones I'm going to get backwards. Oh, okay. There is sexual dimorphism. That's what it was. That's going well. It's going very well. Again, we're filling things out as we go. Again, we got the whole voir dire section, which I think this is about as well as you can get it without breaking it down into the individual parts, which we're starting to do elsewhere. I need to see if I can do like Dwarven clan holds and then clan hold linking into the Dwarven clan holds. I wonder if that's like possible, you know? Stuff like that. I need to know if stuff like that is possible, right? Yeah, we're getting there. We're starting to fill things out with everything. Like, after this, I'd probably put like tribes or like tribal culture. Because I don't want kin blood Oh, I mean, Kinblood's fine here. But, like, when we do wolf blood, raven blood, stuff like that, or if I say blood of the wolf, those both need to go to Kinblood, right? Yeah. So I'll also read this to you, Jojo. I don't know if you were here for all of this. Well, let's read through this together. The collective group things and everything. All right. So, what others think? To most humanoids that are not kinblood to a Vordir species, they are seen in various lights dependent on the cultural customs of the areas they are in. This has both good and bad connotations, and can be used to get a generalized reaction to a Vordir being discovered, though the initial gut reaction is usually fear. While Rosentia is a very spiritual nation, and its founding mythology highlights the assistance of the guardian wolves and spirits throughout, this does not mean that the entire population of Rosentia is a monolith. The overwhelming majority would react with incredible fear to the unveiling of a Vordir in their true form, with smaller subsets in the know who realize that the Vordir even exist at all. Tales of mythology within Rosentia itself run the entire gamut of opinions, origins, and outlook on if the Vordir are monsters or guardians or something in between. The Golden Dawn Imperium. While no nation is a direct hive mind of thought and experience, the majority of the elves and humans living within the GDI view tales of the Vordir as misguided environmentalists. The elves view nature as something to be curated and protected as one would a garden, while the Vordir believe that nature should be wild and free. As the Vordir don't inherently view farming, gardening, logging, and the likes as evil or destructive, the fables and tales about them in the GDI cast them in a more positive light, though often depict them as brutish, dim-witted, and slow. The Dwarven Clan holds. While not exactly a nation in and of itself, this collective group of myriad clans self-identify under the global banner of the clan holds. Their view upon the Vordir is exceptionally negative, carried through to the current day via the wisdom and the stone. You best fucking believe GDI has an eagle on their flag. I thought it was too funny. It was too good of a reference. The GDI, what the elves don't know is that they worship the Dragon of the Dawn, the Golden Dragon of the Dawn. They don't know that's who they're actually worshiping. But yeah, so like the golden rays of the dawn, lights, and things like that are directly associated with the gold dragon of the dawn, aka the Dragon of Hope. But they don't know that. So, but they absolutely have an eagle. Absolutely have an eagle on part of their iconography. Anyways. Their view upon the Vordir is exceptionally negative, carried through to the current day via the Wisdom in the Stone, which depicts the Vordir as constant threats attacking dwarven enclaves and villages, even taking out entire clans themselves. This is partially true in that the dwarves are so destructive towards the environment that they have created several disaster areas within their own territory that are unfit for habitation. Thus, conflict with the Vordir has been a nigh constant thing throughout ancient history, and that conflict has been carried forward through the carvings in every clanhold known as the Wisdom in the Stone. It is little surprise, then, that all media, fables, and tales from the dwarves will universally cast the Vordir in a very negative light. Associating them with murderers, monsters, beasts, plagues, deceivers, rapists, etc. The Sahir. The desert nation made up mostly of not desert, and the vast lizardman majority population view the Vordir as avenging angels or carriers of karmic will. Oftentimes, interactions between the Sahirian people and the Vordir throughout their history was as matters of dire need or consequence, such as one Sahirian destroying an oasis and receiving divine punishment via an assault by the Vordir in the area. The idea of justice and vengeance became ingrained in the culture, and thus most media coming from Sahir depict the Vordir in a mythical light, where they appear from the very sands to enact judgment and then disappear just as quickly. Basically, if you want to think of this as like an action, the way the Lizardmen of the Sahir view the Vordir is the same way you could say the Scorpion King's army in The Mummy, right? Where they literally like form out of the sands and then they disappear back into sand itself. That's their kind of view. It's mistaken, but that doesn't matter, right? That's how they view it. That's what their culture is kind of like associated it with. The Swaha. The nation of jungles and rainforests, overwhelmingly inhabited by lizardmen, have a long and continuing history with the Vordir. Their view of the shapeshifters are as reclusive guardians and defenders of secrets and hidden cities deep within their jungle home. In this way, the Swaha will often depict the Vordir as keepers of lost knowledge and as obstacles to overcome, be it through might or diplomacy in adventure media. AKA, the Swaha are the ones that would most likely create Indiana Jones or Alan Quatermain. Right? I said Alex earlier, but Alan Quatermain. That would be their kind of like adventurous sort of thing. The tales they would tell their children, which would be carried down into books and media that the Swaha would create. Because you never know, child. You may pass through a stand of trees and stumble upon a lost city in the jungle. Which, to the outside investigator, to the outside perspective, to us as readers, we know that those lost cities aren't lost cities. They've always been tribal homes of the Vordir, right? They're always a tribal home that they stumble into. But it's an entire city that they didn't know existed, right? So it's kind of like some mythological fable like, oh, I found Atlantis, sort of deal to them. Again, their perspective is not the same as what the Vordir would have, not the same as what readers would know. Now, collective group thoughts. Wizards and spellcasters. Mages on the world of Saren are a known quantity, with much of the technological growth and even science fiction depicting great advancement from magic as opposed to just technology itself. As a whole, the spell-slinging community view the Vordir as changelings, often associated with the arcane realms where they are considered the law of the land. Not all wizards are aware of the existence of the Vordir, but the majority of them have interacted with them in some capacity throughout their lives. Thus, the Vordir are considered an open secret amongst the wizarding community, kept primarily at the insistence of dragonkind and the familiars that the mages form compacts with. Given the world at large has a general distrust of mages, oftentimes associating them in modern day as charlatans, con artists, and cheats, most of society don't take the word of a wizard as gospel. Therefore, those that speak out vocally about the Vordir existing oftentimes elicit far little response for the effort, or more likely, or are more likely to be targeted by the Vordir spirits and dragonkind themselves. Awakened. The awakened, known as the Anvaki in the Vordir tongue, are keenly aware of their existence and can see the Vordir regardless of their chosen form. Due to their direct connection to the spirit realm and the protective attitude the Vordir display in regards to the Anvaki themselves, they are held in very high regard as guardians and spiritual guides in their lives. Thus, the awakened will often capitulate to whatever a Vordir deems necessary and go along with advice given to them by the Vordir themselves. The Wormguard. The dwarves of the Wormguard clan view the Vordir in a far more positive light compared to their kin. This is because of their direct relationship with the Dracorin, Drakine, and Drakmolkine in their ancestral territories, who all espouse the virtues of the Vordir in their dealings. This leads to much friction between the Wormguard and the other dwarves who already view them as dragon cultists to begin with. Which they are. They are dragon cultists. It's not a nice way to put it. The Worm Guard are dragon cultists. But that's also kind of why they're more... I already explained it before. So, the reason the clan holds are so destructive to the environment isn't because dwarves are naturally prone to that, right? You see expat dwarves in Rosentia, in the Golden Dawn Imperium, in the Sahir, in the Swaha even. And they aren't that destructive. They're they have a lot of ingenuity. They're very good at engineering and everything. Like, they're very good builders and creators. The reason they're so destructive in the clan holds is because it's just that. The Dwarven clan holds is a hodgepodge mishmash of all these different clans that are all competing against each other. But they will all unify if there is an external threat. Like if an elf, or as I said in the example, if a human punches a dwarf in a bar, all the dwarves, doesn't matter if that clan has a blood feud against that clan, all the dwarves are coming together to whoop that human's ass. You know, fuck you, you don't get to pick on us. But this leads into like a very insular thought within the clan holds themselves, where they're like, hey, if you keep doing this, you're going to destroy your natural resources, right? Like, if you keep this up, you're going to poison the river. Yeah, but if we don't take this material and everything like that could potentially poison the river, I don't believe that it will, but it could potentially poison the river, we're going to fall behind in the other clans, the other 5 clans that are surrounding us, and that's going to put us at a disadvantage. So that's the way they think, right? It's a very like wibbly wobbly, loosey goosey alliance. Now, the reason the Worm Guard are so much more kind to nature is because they don't need to compete. The Worm Guard have dragons. And I don't mean that as in like the Worm Guard command the dragons. No. The Worm Guard are subservient to dragons. The dragons are going to protect the Worm Guard because they're a part of their horde. You fuck with the Worm Guard, the dragons are coming down to kick your ass. Because you fucked with their horde. That's theirs, not yours. You can't touch it. So the dragons will come down and basically like create mass destruction and havoc in your homes. So the Worm Guard are kind of left alone. Which then means they don't have to compete, right? They don't have to directly compete with the other clan holds. So they can choose to be more like, no, I kind of want to keep that. No, we don't need to do that. Like, we have a risk of doing this. Let's not. And they're constantly being told by the Drakine, the Drakmolkine, and the Dracoran themselves about the aspect shifters, about the Vordir themselves, and that they are the guardians of nature. So the Worm Guard also kind of know that like the dwarves kind of earned the constant raids and attacks by the Vordir, right? So it's kind of one of those things where they both of these groups don't like each other. The clan holds don't like the Worm Guard don't like the clan holds. And the Worm Guard have a bit more knowledge of what the truth actually is, which is what makes them feel kind of even more like superior about it. Like, oh, you're so stupid, you don't know. You're all just so stupid, you have no idea. But again, the Worm Guard themselves don't know everything about the Vordir, right? Just as the dragons don't know everything about the Vordir, just as the Drakine and the Drakmolkine, only the Vordir know everything about the Vordir. It's the same thing with only the Worm Guard know everything about the Worm Guard, right? Only the Awakened know everything about the Awakened. Only the Wizards know everything about Wizards. It's why so many people think they're charlatans, right? They see magic, they know magic exists, they know there are wizards that can do it, but do you trust that guy who says he's a wizard can do it? I mean, he carries a gun around because he needs it for his protection. Can't wizards cast spells? Why do you need a gun? Right? That's what a normal person thinks. So, that's the whole thing of like, oh, you're claiming to be a wizard. Right, you're a wizard. Wink, 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 wink. Right. Right. You're a wizard. I cast gun. I am gonna, by the way, because it's too funny of a line, I am gonna have Isaiah Crowley say that in one of the fights. He's genuinely going to say that. I cast gun! It's too funny. It's too funny not to use. I also can't wait to design Isaiah Crowley. We've talked about him, and he's kind of like a ghoul, a specter, but I want to show like what he looks like at his most obsessive, when he's just constantly doing research and not taking care of himself, versus what he has the potential to look like. Because while he's not working for a company, he actually has a chance to relax, get genuinely good meals and food, and just, okay, I can be calm. He doesn't have to worry about researching things. He can get full nights of sleep. He can go get full meals, and he doesn't have to scarf them down. Like, that's the same thing. That's the one thing Kenneth hasn't learned. Kenneth Ashwood in Piercing the Veil. He doesn't know why the other Anvaki are, like, chowing down on their meals so quickly. And it's because you get used to it. When you're in the field and there's danger around and you're hungry, you need to get the food down quickly. It's the same thing I was taught in the Marines, right? Like, you turn everything you can into a sandwich, because a sandwich you can eat faster. And you do that because you have no concept of when shit's going to hit the fan and you're not going to get to eat. So you get as much food down as quickly as possible. So you're just like, okay, put the macaroni on the thing, fold the bread. Go, 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 go. Get the fuck out of the mess hall right now. Get the fuck out. Now. Alright, chat. Anyways. I think, again, other than the fact that I'm annoyed with myself that the mapping wasn't going well. Other than that, I think it was a pretty good productive day, right? Linking in Discord? Okay, thank you. I think everything went well. We've totally redesigned our obsidian, and it's a lot more coherent. It's a lot more like precise in it. It's got more of the information we need. We need to actually start talking about we're going to talk about the different Vordir and everything. I'm going to break down their tribal culture. And again, when I say tribal culture, a lot of people think, oh, like huts and things like that. And I was like, no, wrong. Incorrect. Yeah. Anyways, chat. In the meantime, hope you guys take care. Have a fantastic day. Stay safe and healthy. Get fit, get ripped. And I will see you back here tomorrow. And thankfully, as you can tell, we're recovering a lot faster. A lot faster. Which I very much appreciate. Yeah. Bye-bye for now, everyone.